welcome back to Hand Me Down Recipes. This is Kathy, and today we have Dana from Dana's Table with us. How are you, Dana?
Kathy, thanks so much for having me.
I'm so tickled to hear. And we are going to talk about salmon mousse with you today, which, if you think of mousse, I always tend to think of like chocolate mousse, right? But this is not that. It's kind of a salmon spread, you say in the recipe, which when I tested it, I ate it on rice crackers or rice cakes because I like that. I know not everybody likes rice cakes. But I quite liked that, and it was a great little like packed lunch. So tell us how you came by this recipe.
Thank you so much, Kathy.
Yeah,
And I'm so impressed you tried my recipe.
yeah,
So,
absolutely.
okay, so this is a family recipe, and this is a recipe that my mom made for dinner parties. So, the way she made it is it looks on a platter like a cheese ball. But inside is a salmon cream cheese mix, and then she rolled the salmon ball in pecans and parsley, so it was all decorated, and put crackers all the way around. I think Melba crackers, if I remember
Oh, sure,
correctly.
sure,
So
sure.
something crunchy,
Yeah.
like along the lines of rice crackers, right? And so it was a very elegant appetizer. And I wanted to make the recipe myself many, many, many years later. And I had a little scrap of paper, and the directions were a little vague, and I wasn't
Sure.
sure what was going on. And I had a few questions, but she's not alive anymore. So I couldn't ask her my questions. And so then I thought for a minute, I said, wait a minute. I think I have the cookbook where this recipe came from. So I have a lot of her cookbooks, and I went to the shelf and I found this cookbook. So it's called The Rainbow Cook's Hors d'oeuvres, a cool spiral bound homespun kind of book. This book was made by an organization doing research, or a charity to help research for children's cancer. And so they pooled people in the community and made a community cookbook. And then when I got this book out last night, it opened to the page, of course, because this is the recipe my mom made the most out of the book. And I was so happy to find the recipe in here, because it answered my questions. But it was a really emotional moment when I found this page, because it's got all the spots on it from her having cooked the recipe, and it's got her notes. So I felt like she was giving me a message about how she made also too, she altered the proportions a little bit and wrote in the book. And so I felt like she was giving me a message.
Mhm.
Okay, this is how you make this recipe. And I love that she wrote in her books her own notes. I do the same.
Here's you.
So I think I've left a lot of, in addition to my recipe blog, left a lot of little treasures and breadcrumbs for my own kids. So my mom used this recipe for an elegant dinner party. And so
Nice.
this is a good time of year to talk about this recipe, because this makes a great appetizer for Thanksgiving or Christmas or New Year's
New
or
Year's.
Hanukkah, or whatever you're celebrating. And my mom liked to make the hors d'oeuvres fancy. So she also had deviled eggs with caviar on top. And she made these. I don't know if you ever had these cheese puffs. This is another good old school recipe. You make a mixture, I think it's a 50-50 mixture of mayonnaise and Parmesan cheese and a little seasoning. And you put it on a Melba round. This is Melba round for sure. And you put it under the broiler until the cheese gets all bubbly. And they're like little cheese puffs. They're so good. It's a
That's
very
delicious.
old school sort of 1970s style recipe, but I'm telling you, I haven't made it in forever, but the taste is vivid and they're so good. So she had this whole appetizer repertoire that she served in the living room. And the salmon, she called it a salmon ball. I think that's what the recipe calls it. Yeah, the recipe calls it a salmon ball. But since then, I've taken the recipe in another direction. It makes a great appetizer dip. Yeah, it's a cream cheese and salmon spread mixed together, but I like it to top bagels. So it also makes
Absolutely.
an excellent brunch recipe. So if you have a lot of family over or in town over the holidays, this is a great make ahead recipe. You know, days ahead, you can get out your food processor, a can of salmon, a block of cream cheese. You can even use Neufchâtel or some kind of lower calorie cream cheese if you want, and it makes a great bagel spread.
So when you said that, one of the things, okay, so one of my most favorite things in the world, honestly, is smoked salmon. I love smoked salmon. So I was thinking after I made this, I thought, I wonder if, and when you just said the bagels, I was like, I wonder if this would be good with smoked salmon. Or do you think it'd be too dry? Because I mean, I know you drain the canned salmon, but it's still more moist than smoked salmon usually is.
There's definitely a version of this recipe that's made with smoked salmon.
Okay.
So you definitely could do it that way as well. And but in this particular recipe, you use a can of salmon. So
Right.
let me tell you a little bit about that. It's easiest if you get a can of salmon where it says right on the can, skinless and boneless. So
Right.
then you just open the can, okay? Like
Right.
that is easy. Sometimes I've accidentally gotten a can and had to sit and pick through and get the bones out and get the skin off. And
Yeah.
it just doesn't need to be that difficult when you can buy the right can to begin with.
Right.
So, what makes this recipe extra delicious is the flavoring. So, this happens to be flavored with a little bit of horseradish and liquid smoke. So liquid smoke is in a bottle, a little bottle that you can get in the barbecue aisle.
Right.
So that gives it that like like it was literally smoked in a
Smoke.
smoker kind of flavor. If you don't have that, you can use Worcestershire sauce instead, or you could even maybe use some smoked paprika and make it a little smoky. But this is a great recipe to riff off of because if you rather, you can make it more lemony and dip fresh dill. And
Oh,
so,
yum. Yeah, I
you
hadn't.
could really personalize the flavor to, whatever you have on hand or,
Yeah.
whatever you're in the mood for.
That is such a great idea. And we make beef jerky here at our house. And so I almost always have liquid smoke because we use liquid smoke most often and we use it most often. It's beef jerky. So, but it's also good in other things. So, yeah, and a little bottle of liquid smoke, y'all. It's so
Last
tiny, but
year's.
it lasts for a long time because you don't need very much. It's very potent flavor. Very potent. Yeah. And it's usually in the aisle right next to Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire sauce. Right. So, yeah, we always have it here. So good, good, good. That's a good point. So fun. All right. And then, so obviously you use it for hors d'oeuvres and parties, which is great. You said brunch with bagels, but what is there any other way that you would normally eat it at your
Well,
house?
like you just said, if you're looking to, to change up your lunch lineup and you're, bored with your usual routine, like you had it, it really makes a great lunch spread. So you could put it on crackers, you could put it on
Toast, even
bread, you
probably.
can
Yeah.
make like baguette slices,
Yeah.
or it'd be really good on rye bread.
Yeah, I love rye bread. It's one of my favorite things in the whole world. So, and when you just said that, I was thinking, oh, there's a really good like dill rye, right? That would be really good probably with this. So,
That sounds
absolutely.
really good.
Yeah, and I did think it was quite delicious for lunch. So, I think for folks who maybe have to like take your lunch to work, you could very easily put it in a little container in a cool lunchbox and then just spread it on some crackers or rice cakes or whatever, Melba toast even if you like for
And
lunch.
also too, you could use like crudité. You could use vegetable
Yeah,
dippers too for
absolutely.
lunch or for appetizers.
Absolutely. Although,
And
yeah.
it's good for potlucks because it's easy to carry.
Sure. Absolutely. And obviously this would be yeah, it would be great for a potluck now that I think about it. I forget about things like that, but it would be a really I love a potluck, right? Like who doesn't I know there I saw a thing recently online where somebody was like I can't do a potluck cuz she just can't, kind of a germaphobe and she just couldn't stand the idea of like everyone touch. But for me, I'm like there's nothing better than like a spoonful of everything.
For sure.
And I want to know all about the recipes, of course, at a potluck. So that's a great thing. Wonderful.
And so the
And
beauty of this
yeah.
recipe for me is how it brings back all the memories and all the images of my mom giving a dinner party. So I often think of it at holiday time when I know there's going to be appetizers. And if somebody asks me to bring an appetizer, will often bring this. So it's one of those hand me down
Yeah.
and nostalgic recipes for me.
It's so great. And when you showed the cookbook, I have some of my grandmother's cookbooks and it has her handwriting in them. And I have one. It's, as it like the books from like the early 1940s because of my grandmother. It's like, it's giant and it's just got the green cover like they all did back then. And it's like 500 pages or more of like, and it has everything like how the basics of like how to make a pie crust or whatever. And she has her little handwriting. And every once in a while, I'll just be like leafing through the book and I'll see something that she wrote and it just it just touches me. And I write in my cookbooks, and I have before I even like inherited her cookbooks and knew that she wrote in cookbooks. And so that just tickles me that that's like something that families do, and you and your mom both do that, because when we pass these things on, it's such a treasure to have.
For sure. For sure. And now I write my version of recipes on my blog.
Sure.
That's a big reason why I started my blog. It's
Mm-hmm.
because I was combining recipes, like a little from this book and a little from that book, and I wanted to remember my recipe. So we have blogs, but back when this book came out, my mom wrote in it, there was no blog. So the
Right.
best way to keep track of the changes she made to the recipe were to write in the book. So
Right.
but it makes them like a living, breathing, alive document
It
to
is.
leave your notes. And I always, some people I know write notes in their books, which I think is a really good idea. They write when they made the recipe and if they liked it or not.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because if you have enough books and you're around long enough, you might not remember if you like the dish or not. So you might
That's
want to write yourself a note in case you come across the recipe again.
right. And that's true, because you'll come across it again and you'll be like, oh, that looks really good. But if you made it, you'll know that it maybe isn't great, or what you did differently. My husband will always say something is a 5-star recipe. And so if he says it's a 5-star, then I know, well, I want to make that again, probably. I am one of those cooks who doesn't, especially if I'm just cooking for us and not like for the blog specifically. I don't always keep great notes. I just kind of throw stuff together, and it's often just
Right.
whatever we have. So it may never be repeated. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
But I try to keep track of things that I know we might want to try again. So definitely, I might not always write the date, but I definitely write like 5 stars, or,
Oh,
no,
that's
this
good.
wasn't great, or, don't make again kind of thing. And
Yeah,
I
five
definitely
stars is your clue, is your shorthand.
yeah, exactly. It really is. For books, for recipes that I have like on the blogs, I have journals, multiple like blank journals, and I just write recipes in there as I'm testing them and notes. But if something didn't turn out, it's just like a giant X, right? Don't make that again. Or,
Too
if you
funny.
do try, as food bloggers, we have a lot of ideas all the time. I'm sure you
We
do
do.
too.
I have a
Yeah.
stack of notepads right next to me. I like the idea of a journal book.
Yeah, I have a thing for journal books. I don't know. But I buy them at thrift stores and at yard sales, because they tend to be quite expensive when you buy them like brand spanking new, but you can usually find them cheap, used, with like a couple of pages torn out of the front.
That's
What
what I
do
was
I care?
wondering.
Yeah,
That's what
usually
I
it's
was
just a
wondering.
few pages torn out of the front, right? And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
somebody got rid of it, and I don't care. I'm
Mm,
tear the pages out. I'll use it
what a
for
good
sure.
idea. That's
Yeah,
such a
it's
good
so
idea.
cheap. Yeah, it's so great.
So I find that most people or a lot of people crave these family recipes, and
Yeah.
a lot of times people don't write the recipes down, or people write the recipes down with really vague, incomplete list of ingredients and directions. And so I run a Facebook group called Jewish Holiday Cooking,
Ah,
and most of the people come into the group specifically looking for a taste of childhood. And they'll
right.
write, and so many people write. Like, one of the questions I ask when people join is, why do you want to join this group? And a lot of people talk about a specific family recipe that's beloved, but they never got it from grandma. And
Right.
so they're hoping to get ideas from other people in the group who might have similar recipes, and they're hoping to piece together a taste of their childhood, getting input from other people in the group.
How great is that? And this is not really specifically, because you mentioned that it was a Jewish group, but this recipe is not really specifically, it's not specifically Jewish, I wouldn't think
No,
anyway. No, no,
this is
it's kind of
an
American.
American recipe. Yeah, yeah.
Right, yeah. One of my first episodes of Hand Me Down Recipes, we interviewed Abby from, and I've already forgotten the name of her blog. I'll link it in those. We did her Passover
This is
cake.
how I cook.
Yes, yes. This is
Yeah.
how I cook. And we did her Passover cake, which was incredible. And now that I'm thinking about it, I haven't made it since I tested it for the rest before we talked. And now I'm like, oh, I need to make that again. It was so good. This time of year, there's so many sweets around as it is. I don't really need to make something else.
Test it right now.
Right.
You can make it for you.
That's right. But like between now and like the end of the year, between like really Halloween and New Year, do we need, I mean, there's so much, excuse me, so much sweets around. And I do have a sweet tooth, so that's fine. So it's nice sometimes when I talk to someone who has a savory recipe for me to test and make and enjoy, which is so great. All right, so besides like parties, and obviously we want to let the cream cheese, and you said you could use a lower fat cheese. Use the full fat. That's what it's
I think it's
for.
going to taste best
Yeah.
with the full fat, but if you like the taste of something else, you can use that.
Right.
So
And you specifically use the block, which is what I would normally have too. I don't tend to buy like the whipped cream cheese because it has
this
less
recipe is
uses
made
in
with the
my kitchen.
block that you want the
Yeah.
thicker
You
consistency of the block.
right. I was just gonna say you wouldn't want to use the tub kind at all, would you? Here,
No, not for this.
perfect. Nice. So, and it's incredibly frugal. And I will say that I made a because I was usually we're just a household of two, and I wasn't making it for a party. I just have the recipe. So for anybody else who's like me, maybe you just want it for lunch for a couple of days, you could successfully have this recipe, and it turns out wonderfully, and you won't have to have it. If you're not making it for a big party, you might not want.
Definitely, because it's a big it's made with like a big can of salmon
Right.
or like or two regular size cans, so
Mhm.
you could easily half the recipe and then do something else with the other half of the
Half.
block of cream cheese.
That's right. I mean, just smear it on your toast for breakfast, which is what I tend to do when I have leftover cream cheese. I mean, cream cheese is such a wonderful thing in so many ways that it's never bad to have some in the refrigerator. You can use it for all kinds of stuff. I was just looking at some recipes for dinner at our house, and there was a ground beef recipe, and it was like use some cream cheese with the pasta, and I was like, oh, that sounds really good.
Oh, that's good.
Can't go wrong.
I also have a mini cheesecake bites recipe on my website. So you can make a mini batch of those with the other half of the block of cream cheese.
Perfect, because then you've got the appetizer and you've got dessert all from one thing, which is like a great thing for a party because you can never go wrong. That's so great. And do you have any other tips for us? I noticed that you used horseradish in your recipe, which is not something I generally have a ton of around. We just don't eat it very much. Is there anything you would suggest for somebody who maybe didn't want to
Yeah,
use horseradish?
that's a good question. I think that the recipe is flexible and
Mhm.
um instead of horseradish, I think you could leave it out. You could lean into the lemon, like I said,
Yeah.
even add lemon zest. It already has lemon juice. You could go with the flavoring of dill, but the horseradish just adds a little something
Little,
extra
little,
and it really doesn't, it's not essential. I think
right.
if you wanted to go with the flavors as presented, you could leave it out if you didn't have it.
Right. Because horseradish is one of those things that I mean, again, you have to buy it. It just comes kind of in a jar, or you could buy like the fresh root maybe. But like the jar, the white radish, horseradish sauce kind of stuff, it's a lot if you're not going to eat it in
For
other
sure.
things. Right? Yeah.
It's included in the original recipe,
Oh
so
yeah.
I kept it. But since it's only a teaspoon, if you don't have it and you don't want to change the plate profile, I would leave it out. You could add a little more onion if you felt like it
Yeah.
needed a little more zip. Like
Right.
it comes. It's only 2 teaspoons of minced onion, so you could do the full tablespoon.
Right.
That would work very well.
Right. And do you always use like onion, or do you sometimes use like the green onion or like shallots even?
Again, I
Depends.
think the onion is like the right amount of strength for this
Right.
recipe. But if you had shallots or green onions on hand and wanted to use them,
Right.
you that's definitely a good substitute.
Right. And the
Also,
great.
chives would be kind of cool
Yeah.
too in this. Yeah,
Right.
chopped chives
Right. So where
if you
I
wanted the green flecks.
right. I was just gonna say I wouldn't have chives, but I could buy chives at the grocery store. I was thinking of my garden, and I would not have chives from
I
my
grow
garden this
chives
time of year.
actually.
Yeah, I wouldn't have it this time of year where I live.
Me neither. Yeah, mine have just gone kaput.
Yeah, yeah. So, but you could buy them at the store. Grocery store will definitely have chives any time of year. And the great thing about this recipe, I think, is that it is really simple in terms of like ingredients and how it's made. There's nothing complex. You don't need any sort of special equipment to make it. So even if you're a very novice kind of cook, you can pull this together and will look really fancy schmancy at a holiday
Exactly.
party.
Exactly. It's fast and it's easy and it always impresses. People always find it so tasty.
Right. Because it is the kind of thing that most people probably don't have on a general day to day kind of basis. So it will feel very special.
Exactly.
People will love it. People will be asking you for your recipe. It's one of those kinds of
That's why it's
things.
on my website
Yeah.
because that's another reason I started my website is because people would ask me for recipes. And so I said, I'm just going to put this on a blog because I get a lot of requests for my recipes.
That's a great thing about a blog. And The great thing about blogs, of course, is that we are saving these kinds of family recipes, and you can be assured that they've been tested. Most decent bloggers, anyway, will have tested their recipe multiple times before they
Yeah.
put it
If
up.
you want to know if this recipe was really made, you can
Yeah,
look at the stains of
there
the
you go.
cookbook as
There you go.
proof that this was actually made.
That is so
This is
great.
not an AI recipe.
There you go. We do not embrace AI recipes here at Hand Me Down Recipes at all. So great. And do you have anything else that you'd love to share about the recipe with us?
You know what I think is great is about sharing family recipes is that the recipes get new life. And so as younger generations in my family or blog readers make these recipes, they're creating new memories with their families. And so the life of the recipe continues on and they become other people's family recipes. So I think that's really beautiful connection.
It is a beautiful connection. And tell everybody where they can find you online, please.
My recipes are on danastable.com. I've been putting recipes online for 13 years.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. And I also am on social media, most especially Facebook and Instagram. My handle is Dana's Table L.
LA. Okay, that's good. I'll make sure that we link that in the show notes, but in case
Yes.
people are just listening, go look it up appropriately. Wonderful. Well, thank you. Go ahead.
And I respond. If you leave me a blog comment or you leave me a comment on social media, if you have a question, I'm very active and I love to chat with people about recipes. I will respond to your questions.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kathy. It's really fun chatting with you. I love talking to other fellow food enthusiasts, especially people who love family recipes.
Wonderful. Thank you.